what is the hot sector space over the last couple of years at least, and now it's getting really hot, because every company that does issue earnings is talking about AI, artificial intelligence, AI here, AI there. We know, I use it, by the way. I use it on my channel to do some short videos, and AI has, all of us have it on our phones now. Like, we can write an email and then we can put it in AI and it'll write 10 times better than you, probably. So I think it's a boon for college kids, but then there is software, by the way, for that too. They'll catch you using AI, so be careful with that. But what has been the buzzword over the last 2 years minimum, right? NVIDIA's and all these companies, from hardware to software to energy, because AI is very energy intensive, and AI has been the key word. So I came up with this slide that literally shows pretty much who is who in this game, from CPU makers, GPU makers, from AWS to NVIDIA's to Google's, and to, so this I think you should take a screenshot of this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to post this on the community page. These are all the companies that I could think of that are involved in the world of AI. So AI data center value chain, right? So from the top to the bottom, we're going all the way from what's needed, basically the chips to create these large language models, all the way down to the electrical equipment, the cooling, the nuclear part, the renewables, oil and natural gas. So this is a pretty comprehensive list with these little arrows going to its side. So on the top are semiconductors, right? So on the memory side is Micron, obviously, Samsung, SK Electronics. On the CPU side, AMD, Intel, and NVIDIA. GPU and ASIC side, Google, NVIDIA, AMD, Meta, and all these wonderful companies who have done amazingly well. Then we move on to the server side, networking and storage side, IT infrastructure, Dell, EMC, Oxide, Broadcom, Marvell, Cisco. Cisco had amazing earnings, coming back from the dead. Again, if you guys see, there is a common name here that is in a lot of these groups, is NVIDIA, right? And that's why the stock has done extremely well. So on the storage side, again, Dell, EMC, NetApp, Pure Storage. So these are the ones that create the servers and hard drives for this. Then we move down to the data centers. These data centers are being created. I mean, massive ones are being created in Texas at the moment. Azure, AWS, obviously Meta, Oracle, and then the developers for these, the developers meaning like actually real estate, right? These are massive buildings that need to be getting developed. So those are Vantage and Equinix and DataBank and Digital Realty, right? So I think you guys should take a screenshot of this. If not, I'm going to post it on the community page so you guys understand what companies are involved. And on the energy side, because this is super energy intensive, so you have the renewables, oil and gas, Exxon, let's say, renewables on the Enphase, and on the nuclear side, Radiant and Helion, couple other names that I've been trading, Oklo and Nano Nuclear. On the battery side, for storage, for electricity, obviously Tesla and a few other names. Electrical equipment side, Eaton, Siemens, and Vertiv and Schneider. And on the cooling side, again, wonderful S&P 500 companies. And I think this is something that you all should pay attention to. Now, a lot of people go say, Serge, AI is overhyped and this and that. I'm like, look, AI is here to stay. AI is not going anywhere. So just this week, well, last week actually as well, Google announced, I think, $75 billion CapEx. Microsoft announced $75 billion CapEx. Meta announced $100 billion CapEx. CapEx meaning capital expenditures. Money is pouring into this field. You can't ignore it. These companies are not dumb. They are spending hundreds of billions of dollars building this infrastructure because AI is the future, according to them. And at some point, they need to get an ROI. They need to get a return on all this money spent. And these people are not stupid. Meta did not become a $2-3 trillion company because they're dumb. right? But I just wanted you guys to understand how big this group is. So don't just think NVIDIA, don't just think of AMD, because those are the well-known names in the GPU and CPU and memory space, or Micron. Think about it that buildings have to be built. Maybe those companies are going to do well on the next cycle. Think of it as the software side of this, because think of it as the server side of this, not just hardware, okay? So I think AI is here to stay. Is it going to present some problems for our country and communities? Probably. I mean, we have something called that's been in discussion, and Elon Musk has talked about this as well, called universal basic income. Are we going to need it? I mean, AI is going to replace a lot of work, a lot of jobs. We're looking at autonomous vehicles. How do you think all those are run? Those are all run on AI, and then machine learning and all this stuff is coming around. Autonomous trucks are going to come around now for transportation purposes, right? We know what's happening with autonomous vehicles. Waymo is around. All these companies are spending billions and billions of dollars to do this, and it all depends on this infrastructure that I just pointed out. So do we need universal basic income at some point? Can everybody be a coder? Well, coders are, I think, in trouble too, because AI is going to write better code than they are, and much faster, and without too many errors. So my thing is, this is a long secular cyclical advance. This is not just this year, next year. This is going decades forward now, okay? And so another problem I see is that if jobs get replaced, what are people going to do? Do we really need to start discussing seriously about UBI, universal basic income? Because these companies are mega companies. They're trillions and trillions of dollars worth companies. And if people lose jobs because of AI, because of robotics, that's going to come around. I mean, we know that pretty soon. I think when you go to Starbucks, there'll be a robot there, as opposed to be a barista doing your coffee. Perfect coffee, never calling sick. Look what has happened in the auto industry over the last 25, 30 years. We used to have an amazing auto industry in this country. Well, if you go into a GM plant or a Tesla plant or any other cars plant or a Hyundai plant, you see what? Nothing about robots. They do the job more efficiently. They call in sick. They don't call in sick. They're not unionized. They don't have a healthcare, problems. They just work, right? Until they break, and then it gets fixed, and then it gets done again. So the world is changing, and we must adapt. And on the investing side, we must adapt to these companies. These companies are maybe some no names that you guys don't even know, other than the famous 5-6 names. There is hundreds of companies involved in AI, all the way from the top to the bottom. So I think it's time that this is seriously discussed. And maybe next week I'll discuss on Power Hour what I think about UBI and what I think when I think it's going to come around. I don't think if it's going to come around. I think it's going to be when.